We at Swim want to be part of a generation of youth and children's leaders and volunteers who are passionate about mentoring children and young people well. But how do we do this? Well, here are 3 top tips for how we can be effective mentors to children and young people. Number 1, when we are mentoring children and young people, we need to see it as a holistic practice. As volunteers and mentors, we must consider that effective mentoring is a practice that encompasses the spiritual, physical, and emotional needs of the children and young people under our care. This aligns with scholarship which argues that mentoring covers all areas of life. We must be open to conversations around everything from what they're reading in the Bible at the moment, to homework and friendships, to family life and everything in between. Equally, it may mean that we need to be willing to take part in activities that range from grabbing a hot chocolate and doing Bible study together to baking and praying our way through a recipe. This knowledge may also influence how we match up mentors with young people and children, or how we decide who we are going to mentor. If a young person is incredibly sporty, is there someone who has that particular interest that can be matched up? If there's one who's passionate about photography, do we have any creative mentors that can encourage and come alongside that child? As mentors, we may be tempted to home in on our own individual relationships with young people, but also on visibly spiritual aspects, which is good, don't get me wrong. But when we open and broaden our understanding of mentoring to mean the whole life of the child or young person, we may find ourselves being involved in transformative and effective mentoring relationships. So that's number 1. Number 2 is understanding professional standards and safeguarding. This is a key part of our role as volunteers, working with children and young people in mentoring relationships. Being up to date with safeguarding guidelines and procedures and policies is a must for maintaining effective and safe mentoring relationships. These practices like DBS checks or references, your church's or organisation's advice on meeting up one-to-one with a young person, or how to contact and arrange meetings with young people and children. These are all there to keep children, young people, and ourselves safe in mentoring relationships. Equally, if we see mentoring as a holistic practice which covers all areas of a young person's life, we must be aware that we may become people they feel safe to report things to that need to be disclosed to someone else. In those moments, we need to know who we can turn to. So having regular discussions around this as a team in your organisations is key. And if you haven't been exposed to this information yet, getting in touch with your safeguarding officer to ask for help or more information is really important. Finally, we become effective mentors when we acknowledge that we and children and young people are mentored effectively whilst being embedded in communities of faith. Sticky Faith research tells us that children and young people who grow up in church are more likely to stay in the faith if they have 5 or more adults who are actively invested in their lives and faith journey. That is a high number, and unfortunately we cannot provide that all by ourselves. But what we can be part of is developing a mentoring community which moves children and young people towards this goal. We as volunteers or leaders may be concerned about our own individual mentoring relationships that we have with a child or young person. But we should also be concerned and passionate about building a community that naturally values intergenerational relationships and pays attention to the contribution of children and young people. We can be part, whether we're a volunteer, a leader, or anywhere in between, in building spaces that know their children and young people well by name and communities that seek to spur them on in their faith journeys.